In a previous video, I said that properties generally do not add anything new to the object, and for the most part that is true. There is one example of properties that does add a lot of power though, so it's worth showing here in a quick video. You recall from previous videos with animation and stimulus, specifically the interpolated stimulus video that we had there. If you recall, we defined motion tracking on this slider. So we created a enter region here for slide state 0 and enter region here for slide state 100 so that we could do motion tracking to affect an animation called slide. Well, it just so happened that the handle of our slider did have an animation called slide that we defined, right? And it was able to be affected from state 0 to 50 or 0 to 100, however we defined it. Okay, well, that pretty much locks you into the number of states that you made when you defined your animation, 0, 50, 0, 50, all right? Properties can actually give you a quick and easy way to change all that, redefine what your minimum and maximum values are all at once. I'm going to do this in a slightly repetition format here because I want to show you changing properties for animation and then changing properties for stimulus. They basically have to be one and the same for it to all work together, but to illustrate that concept more clearly, I'm going to do it first for animation and then add the stimulus in. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to properties, and I'm going to add these properties at the object level or the widget level. And what I mean by that is the handle and the track are really two parts of a whole, the slider. So it's at the slider group, the whole slider here, show hide, just showing you what I'm talking about, that I'm going to add the property. Okay, so I click custom property, add custom property, and I say left side value. And a description is really optional here, you don't need to enter that. And let's go ahead and say animation, not value, that'll just change what the current value of slide is. We want state, okay? And for the left side, we can again choose the drop down, but this is the one that moves the slider back and forth. It's called slide. We want to enter the value of the state that is currently the low state, and that is 0. So we just leave it there and click define. Okay. And I'm going to click OK. I'm technically not finished yet because I don't have another specification here for stimulus. But again, I'm doing it for animation only first, so you see the difference, and then I'll add stimulus later. Okay. All right. So I've got a left side value. Now I need a right side value. Okay. So what I want to do now is click add custom property again, right side value. I'll just skip the description this time and enter animation state and the current right side, which is 50. Define. Okay. If I go into run mode now, it really doesn't do anything, but the stimulus, remember from the previous video, is tracking 0 to 100, not 0 to 50. So it's expecting a travel of 100 states, not 50 states. Okay, and that's why it's not matching up with the handle anymore, because by the time I get here, stimulus says it should be slider 50, but it really is, the animation is only 0 to the animation side of it is only 0 to 50, but stimulus is tracking 0 to 100 across this whole range. So by the time you get to the center, stimulus-wise, motion tracking-wise, you've already reached the maximum of your animation. Check this out. If I come over and say, no, animation, right side, you're 100, and I just start moving it, it now matches up again. So motion tracking, stimulus, which is tracking from 0 to 100, as the previous video, interpolated stimulus showed, was able to track from 0 to 100, but we told via properties that your low and high states are 50, so stimulus did not go along with that. It was still tracking motion from 0 to 100. So let's go back and make sure that when we change animation, stimulus comes with it. Okay, so all we have to do is modify these properties a little bit by adding, we already have animation state, now we need stimulus execute. Same values, slide 0 here, okay, and then for the right hand edit property, stimulus execute. What we're doing now is we're saying if you redefine animation low high, make sure to redefine your stimulus low high as well. All right, and we're currently at value 100 for our left and right. That's what we want to match it. All right, and again, if we go to run mode, it currently works. But watch this. Now if we change it, we say 20, it now has a value of 20. Now it looks similar, right? We'd have to really crank this down for you to see that we're getting a chunky motion now. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But now stimulus and animation are matching up. The cool thing about this is limitless, right? You can go 5,000, and now you have a really silky, smooth slider. Easier to watch in the animation editor. Keep an eye out on this slide value, or even down here, of course. And it is changing from 0 to 5,000. The reason that it didn't work before is because this property was changing only animation but not stimulus with it. So that's why we created a multi-specification property. That is one property, many specifications. And we needed stimulus motion tracking to match up with the redefined animation. Alright, so that's the one time. There's probably others, but you don't run into them very often at all. Properties usually don't add anything new to the object, but in this case, using properties, this is one of the best ways to quickly redefine the low and high state of an animation that already exists on an object.